Welcome. I'm glad to be with you for another week. This week we are talking about conflict management, and we're looking at a particular model of behavioral sequence of events that happens for a lot of students when they become very upset, very dysregulated. I had this happen to me actually just a few days ago with a student that I worked with. They were very calm. They knew that I was a new teacher coming in to do some work with them one-on-one. But they were having fun playing. And so unbeknownst to me, when I came in, I was the trigger. And this child became agitated right away. When I tried to calmly talk to them a little bit, he started accelerating in his behavior. And within a matter of a couple of minutes, he was making very angry faces and crying, and he was adamant that he didn't want to be anywhere near me. So I knew that I had to step way far back. And I stepped literally out of the classroom for a while because there were other teachers there. And then I came back in and I just calmly sat on the ground and played quietly with other children, but kind of in his vicinity, and didn't push much at all. After a while, I saw that he was working on trying to build something with friends. And so I just became a part of that build. And I could see as he slowly started de-escalating, I wasn't going to push it. I didn't want to jump from him starting to be calm and being okay with me to asking about going out of the room again with me to do some work. So I just let him continue to calm and have some time, first to himself and then just in his own time, an experience with us. And when he was fully recovered, it was awesome. He grabbed my hand and he said, "Let's go." And I was his best friend then. So he just needed that time. We can think about what could have happened, maybe that the teacher could have done differently to prepare him so that that trigger didn't happen. And then if there's anything we could have done differently as he was agitated as well. The teacher kept trying to ask him if he wanted to go with me for a moment, and that quickly moved him to his peak. So we're going to talk about the beginning. What do children look like when they're calm? They're usually cooperative. They're pretty good at following directions. They're more likely to accept both praise and feedback. So if there's something that maybe I need to work on, when I'm calm, I'm in that wizard brain. I am engaging my frontal lobe, and I'm able to think a little more clearly. They're engaging in activities with us. They might be able to ignore distractions more, and they're more able to focus. Things that we can do to support children when they're calm. This is when we can teach those self-management and those relaxation techniques, practice those social skills from those social skill curriculum or other things that we're doing. Teach and practice problem solving. Focus on what might be causes of big emotions. Create that very structured and predictable routine and those picture schedules. Creating that positive environment that we've done as well to keep them in that calm space. Now, if we're moving toward a trigger, this is something maybe that the teacher and I or the teacher could have brainstormed ahead of time as well. What are some things that could be reminding them of what's coming up or reminding them of their expected behavior? Practicing that, practicing how to manage triggers. Do some active supervision at this point so that we're a little more focused on them and support when we know that a trigger is coming. And then show with itness. That's kind of like having eyes in the back of our head. It means letting children know, nope, I'm actively seeing you. You are being supervised. And that's important at all ages. What to do during and after a trigger. It's really hard not to overreact or take it personally. Can be when we're working together with other adults or when we're working with students, right? If a child is triggered, they might yell, "I hate you." I've known a couple teachers that have been spit on or kicked, right? I got kicked really hard once, got a good old bruise. And we need to remember, again, they're small children. That's our job. And it's not something for us to overreact to. And it's very hard not to, but if we overreact, we've just caused many more issues, both for that child and their learning, and then also for us, of course, and our happiness. So we want to figure out ways to increase their opportunities for success, Consider rewards. If it's something that, let's say a child gets frustrated and they move right to kicking or hitting when they are upset, what are maybe some rewards if we can keep moving them through those triggers without going back to that old response? When a child's agitated, they might be moving away to a quiet space, not engaging in work. We might see some verbal outbursts. We might see tense muscles. I could really see in that child's face and his eyes when he was getting agitated. Things that we can do to support during that. Think about if there's something we could have done ahead of time to prevent that situation. So I think for that child, if their teacher would have perhaps reminded him of the positives, but also what to expect, and that another teacher was coming in to work with him, that might have helped. Stay near them. That's what we mean by proximity. Show empathy. So to be able to say as well, you're really angry right now, or you're really frustrated. We don't have to make a value judgment or a label. Just let them know that we see them and we understand. Maybe you're really frustrated right now because a new teacher's in the class and you don't want to go right now. We can assist the child more. Give them additional time. Give them time to potentially do activities they want to do. So this is not a time to make them go back to circle time right away or to the class activity. Maybe there's something they want to do that's going to help calm them back down still. And time. So the best thing that I did for that young boy that was agitated was provide him with time. For older students, journaling can help when we're agitated. Letting them focus on things that they're passionate about, using stretchies, TheraBands. Those are things, right, that can calm a student in their seat. Walking or running, that's something that I've done with children. Giving them time to be by themselves as well. And then acceleration. So it's getting worse, it's speeding up. It appears that the behavior is intended to test our limits or get a reaction. They might make threats or destroy things, and they're continuing with inappropriate behavior. These are two teachers working with a child that's dysregulated and that's moving through this phase. And you can see it goes from calm up through alarm all the way up to sheer terror, right? They're totally unaware of what's happening anymore. They are just beyond themselves. And for this teacher that's remained calm on the left, you can see that the child still moved for this pattern, but it was much less extreme, right? And they never moved to the worst phases. And this is because the teacher was able to stay calm and present, kind of do the right thing, mirror the child and their needs at that time, and bring them back to where we need them to be. But on the right-hand side, we can see that after a while, this teacher was becoming more overwhelmed and dysregulated themselves. And so what happened then is it took much longer, and this child stayed in this terror state, and they weren't able to come back together and get this child back to a calm state, at least not in a timely manner. So what can we do during acceleration? Remember, it's not personal. Be very slow. This is literally even how we walk and talk. Don't talk as much. Don't talk very much even at this point, because they're in that lizard brain and they are not using their frontal lobes. They are not thinking rationally at all at this point. We're certainly wanting to seek to understand, but realize that they're likely not going to be able to verbalize what's going on or what's wrong at this point. We're just going to be slow and quiet and allow them to start calming. At the peak, this could be a child running away, destroying things, being physically aggressive, or completely shutting down, right? So whenever possible, we're wanting to help children not go up to the peak phase. But when it happens, and it does, our goal is to keep everyone as safe as we can, come up with plans, maybe not right in the middle of the peak, but during the day, to think about what might help prevent it moving all the way to that peak phase in the future. Adults have two schools of thought. One is that kids do well when they want to, and the other is kids do well when they can. And I think the truth is the latter. Kids do well when they can. No one wants to be out of control, massively upset, screaming, crying. So what skills and resources can we teach them and provide them so that they do well?